best way to deal with the difficulties that present to permaculture?
Remain positive and remember that the problem is the solution. There is always a way around it. You can always choose to look at it differently, and as soon as we make that choice, we'll see it differently. And I think that is a very useful tool for anybody at all, is to learn to see things differently and to remain positive.
What's your opinion about home education or alternative education?
I find that a slightly difficult one. I think in itself it can be absolutely great, it can be really inspiring. I think I would just warn home educationalists or people who send their kids to some of the alternative schools, make sure that you retain the connection with the other children, with their peers in the surrounding area, so that they don't become an exclusive little group, so that the other children who are not actually within this particular educational system get to think of them as being a bit strange, a bit weird. I think it's really important that they should be also a part of the society, the life, particularly of the other kids around them, so that they always have that connection. I think it's important that it shouldn't become like a ghetto that these special children are specially educated in, and then immediately the ones who are not part of this system become suspicious, can actually become quite difficult, maybe aggressive towards them. I think it's important to keep all the connections going.
Is there space in the world for everyone to grow their food?
Yes, there is. We just simply have to learn to use a different form of agriculture, or horticulture. We need to realize that famines are largely caused by inappropriate large-scale agriculture. We need to look at human-scale intensive agriculture that will also have the effect of allowing more wilderness on this planet, which we really should be encouraging, not degrading.
And do you believe in the city's sustainability?
I think we have to find sustainable solutions for the cities, because the cities are inhabited by more than 50% of the human population, so it's not going to change. It's not going to change enough to be able to ignore the cities. So I think we just say, okay, it's a big challenge, but it's also an incredible opportunity. And the point is, the manpower is there, I think the energy is there. And yes, I think there are solutions for the cities.
Is permaculture a philosophy of life or a new millennium religion?
I think it's a way of life. You know, it's what you do. You do permaculture. But not a religion, not a religion.
You said you are not a leader, but a teacher. What is the difference?
I think there's a big difference between I'm a teacher. I think I'm also something of a pioneer. I tend to do things before other people do them. And pioneers are often not very good leaders. They're very good, they act as catalysts, maybe to get something started. But in my experience from my own life, I have found that I don't have really wonderful leadership qualities, and I've observed other pioneers, and yeah, I think we're pioneers, I think we're catalysts. I happen to be one that teaches, and maybe that's the way I make other people, I turn other people into leaders maybe. I hope so.
Does permaculture need leaders?
I think it needs people who will show a way forward. I don't know if that's actually leading. It's leading by example, I suppose. But also people who can implement projects. I'm except for, my own personal projects, I'm not so good at implementing large enough projects. So you need people who will actually lead the way forward to implementation. Leaders, but leaders who work in cooperation with everybody around them. Sounds like a contradiction, but I don't think it is. There are some people who will always step forward first. And maybe then they step back and somebody else steps forward. But I think you always get somebody with just that little bit of energy that will go forward at any particular stage in a project. And for me, I'm content just to stay in the background. I'm quite happy.
What separates us from the natural world?
The brain. Excessive thinking. We don't feel enough. We don't absorb the energy that comes to us from the rest of the universe, because we have this mental block that is just like chattering away in our brains, and we often we have so much internal noise, it's difficult to connect. I think that's what stops us connecting with the natural world. I mean, meditation and other techniques will help us connect, just simply by stopping all this noise, this mental rubbish that's going on in our heads.
Is there any connection between permaculture and politics?
I think permaculture is very political, but I don't think it has anything to do with any political party. A man who worked in Nepal once said that permaculture is revolution disguised as gardening. I think it is a revolution, but it's a very quiet one that actually is not allied to any particular so-called political belief or dogma, but it's political in a more general sense. I think it's highly political.
What is a comfortable existence?
I think that's going to vary from person to person. I think that most of us in the past were satisfied with, and perhaps ought to think about enjoying the benefits of some of the simple things of life. I think we need food, good food, we need shelter, we need good companionship, family, friends, love. I think we need some kind of meaningful work, which hopefully will bring us our livelihood. I don't think we need much more than that, and a connection with the natural world. Some people will need a little bit more, but okay, I could survive with that.
Do you believe does miracles happen?
I think every second, somewhere in the world. Yeah.
And are you a garbage warrior?
Don't know about the garbage. I think I'm a warrior of sorts. Yeah. I feel that sometimes feel that I'm fighting a fight. Yeah, I'm a warrior.
Does the young people of today have a future?
Yes, I think they have, but I think it's in their own hands. They're going to have to create it, because I think, or help create it, because I think we've let them down. We're not thinking long term. We're thinking too short term, and we are not thinking about our children, our children's children, unlike the North American Indians who always thought 7 generations in advance. We've become too bogged down in short-term thinking. So, yeah, there's a future out there, but they're going to have to really start sorting it out themselves. Hopefully with our help, but I think, yeah, it's in their hands.
And how can we save the world?
Step by step. And just by taking responsibility for ourselves. It's actually all we can do. We can't force everybody else in the world to take those steps. We can only take our own and hope that we inspire other people to do it a bit differently.
If you were a tree, which one would you like to be?
I think I'd like to be a sobrero. I do find them, when I first came to Portugal and I saw a forest of sobrero trees near Monchique, I thought they were quite magical. I think they have all trees have something magical, but I found this grove of sobreros an extraordinary place. I think maybe I'd like to certainly find out what it's like being a sobrero. What is it that makes a grove of these trees so magical?
Okay. Thank you very much
Okay.
for this interview.
All right.
Good luck for you.
Yeah, and you too.